Welcome yet again to Behind the Curtain, a podcast with real estate agents where we talk about what we're actually dealing with right now, and we let you see behind the scenes into how we're solving problems with clients, how we're coaching and mentoring agents, and ultimately, we're all growing our businesses together. So thanks again for joining, and today we have Cole Watkins, Kelly Watkins, Taylor Goldenthal, and myself, Nicola Palamento. So let's hop right into the first topic. We just did a prospecting panel where we invited agents from the area to come and hear how we're reacting to this shift in the market. So how did you guys feel that the panel went?
I think it went great, right? We had a fantastic turnout. We had a lot of people. I mean, we even had people standing in the back. So it was a great turnout, numerically. But the panel itself was full. I mean, this was the panel along with Andrea Huerta, which was really specializes with investors, and I thought it turned out great.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. Really enjoyed what we talked about. I think it was really useful information that we all kind of wished we had when we first started out. What all should we really be doing with our time? Because at the end of the day, as real estate agents, our business is prospecting and marketing.
Yeah, I think we got to hit on some mindset stuff, right? Because a lot of agents, that's really where the problem starts. I guess my cat has joined our podcast. This is Max. So I think, from a mindset, no, we're not going to talk on the podcast. I will put him away if we need to.
It
actually
should
really
be fine
cute.
unless
This is actually cool.
Starts doing like fun things.
Yeah. Yeah, we can always switch. So from a mindset perspective, I think that's the first problem most people have. Would you guys agree that it starts there?
Absolutely.
Like you can learn the practical, but if you don't have the, how should I think about prospecting and what's most important and how do I approach work, I think that is actually where the problem starts.
And even if you're starting in real estate, just making that jump from, say, part-time to full-time, unless you're confident in yourself, then you're never going to get there. And even if you're part-time, how do you convince someone else to trust you with their biggest investment when you're not even confident in yourself? So that, to me, is always the first thing. You have to learn those things, and as you learn them, you feel more confident. But first, you have to start somewhere and start working.
So I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this that could possibly be in a part-time, real estate position, and you went from part-time real estate to full-time real estate.
I did.
So kind of talk to us about, from what you just said, how does that relate?
So I've had my license for 7 years, and I was part-time for 2 of those years, and then I've been full-time for 5 years. Actually just celebrated 5 years of quitting my job, and it's been amazing. But I would say that when I was part-time, I did open houses every single weekend. That is just something that I had a full-time job. I did open houses. If I wasn't doing open houses, I was doing hair and makeup. So I worked every single day. I never called the same way. We never took a break. And we made it happen. I would make follow-up calls on my lunch break. On my way actually home from work, that was my time for follow-up calls. You just have to make it happen. And then I guess the biggest thing was getting a few deals under my belt ahead of time. I definitely don't know that it's hard to just jump in full-time without having done any deals. But having you as my husband who's already full-time, that definitely helped. And having a team behind me, knowing that I had the support, that was what made me confident enough to finally make that jump.
Why do you think that most agents or most people who get their license and become an agent, why do you feel like they encounter some of these hardships up front and then either they buckle under the pressure or they end up going back to part-time instead of full-time because they're too scared? What about you do you feel like, or what was the reason that you were able to say, I am going to work all the weekends, I am going to do my follow-ups during my lunch break and not complain about it or this isn't fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I feel like that's what I hear a lot.
Well, I actually enjoyed it. I wasn't sure, when I was getting my license, I'm I could either love this or hate it. You really don't know until you start doing it. And
it's sales. Neither one of us had ever done any type of sales. Yeah.
Right. And so I think actually just having a successful open house, one of the first open houses, having a client be yeah, let's set an appointment. Yeah, let's have a showing. It was okay. This actually works. I can do this. So I think having just a little bit of a win up front, I think you definitely need that. And having people like Cole or people that were on our team to shadow really, really helped.
But she really, at that time, just shadowed me because I was the top producer the whole term that I was with that team. No,
Yeah.
but Kelly also, she said, she was doing, open houses while she was working part-time. She didn't have the time to service those buyers or sellers full-time. So we would work together with those. And, she would close several of those people, before she ever quit her job. So I was like, Kelly, you can quit your job right now because you've been converting, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing. She had the conversations. She was able to convert, and the future business was very evident, right?
Yeah. So definitely it was scary. And I'm sure that anybody in that same position, we've all been there. Nick's been there. Taylor's been there. We've all kind of at some point been like, is this the right decision? And sometimes you want to go back and sometimes you feel confident. So I think in real estate, it's up and down. And so just trusting yourself and having the right support to be in it consistently for the long run, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. And you did close 32 deals your first year.
I did.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So, yeah. But the thing is, here's the thing.
Pulled my hair out.
Well, and you pulled my hair out. But the other thing is prospecting, going all the way back to the panel. Cats. I'm not a cat person, but that's okay, Max.
Sweet.
Yeah. The thing is, going back to the prospecting panel, what Nick talked about on our call this week was, I think that the prospecting panel was great because we did talk a lot about mindset, which you absolutely have to talk about when you're going into prospecting. But I do think that we should do a prospecting panel number 2 in November, and when we do that prospecting panel, really kind of outlining for us to talk about the more practical aspects of prospecting, right? We would do open houses and absolutely crush it. We still do. But here are the 3 things. Here's the open house, the pre-open house, open house, and post-open house. What does our scripting look like? How many signs do we put out? All that kind of stuff, right?
I think there's lots of different ways that you can prospect. And I think what most people's problem is they don't know the right way to do the thing. Yeah. So you can tell somebody to do an open house, but we have seen people do open houses that are not going to ever be productive in any shape or form. Like they're just not going to be.
And then they get discouraged.
So then that person will say open houses don't work because I've done a whole bunch of them and I've never had any success. Whereas we would look at that same person or do the same open house as they did and be able to convert people and be able to get leads from it. So I think some of this is just knowing the right way to do it, not just, you got to go out there and work hard. Okay, well, what does that mean for me when you can get your license, you pay $1,200 or whatever, and then you have no idea, nobody's told you anything. You learn no marketing skills, no sales skills. Yeah. Like nobody teaches you how to do that in school. Like, okay, this is how you do an open house. Like that doesn't happen.
Right.
Just how not to get sued. That's all I teach you.
Yeah. And and we went over what 15 prospecting methods, for at the actual deal. But another kind of disclaimer there is that don't write down all 15 and then try to do all 15.
Sure.
Which I think in the very beginning we have on the Bridge Group 5 pillars of lead gen, which I don't even do all 5. Like I pick 2 or 3 and I become very, very dangerous at those 2 or 3. If you try to do all 5, you're going to be spreading your time and your efforts way too thin.
And you're the jack of all trades and the master of none.
Right.
So when somebody's gotten their license and they're new, what can a new agent do today, especially now that we're kind of exiting from the pandemic type of market like we talked about in our last podcast, and now we're going sort of back to pre-pandemic, back to normal, a sense of normal. What does a new agent do today if they're like, I don't have any business, all my pipeline dried up because nobody wants to buy a house anymore? What would you tell that person?
Man, the first, I think that a lot of people, their first thing is go to your sphere. And and I do agree. I do think that you should go to your sphere, but I also think that you have to be very realistic and understand that humanity is what it is. And if I'm not in real estate, right, and a friend of mine or a brother or someone just gets their real estate license, and they're like, Cole, I want to sell your house, or I want to help you buy a house, and I have a lot of equity, I have a lot of money invested in my house. Humanity says, look, I love you as a friend, as a family member, but you really don't have the reps under you to get me or to have my confidence in your ability to get me the most amount for my property. So we have to also understand that. Yes, go to your sphere, but also I think what Taylor was doing in the very beginning of his career is just social media, pumping out content on social media so that they would see and associate Taylor real estate. Taylor real estate.
Absolutely. I mean, perception is reality. And my first several months, I didn't have any deals, right? And people still thought I was out there grinding and very, very successful. And after about probably 9 months of being active on social media, that's when I finally started to see that return. And people
they accepted it.
They accepted it. Okay, he's actually going to make it. He's actually doing this. And I think that's what's huge, is making sure that you're not that secret agent, right? There's no James Bond in real estate. Everybody should know who you are and what you do. You should shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Because your sphere can really pay dividends as you go through your career. Aside from being active on social media and just getting out there and I don't mean being a member of the lunch bunch, going to all of the builder events and getting free drinks and whatnot,
right.
but actually doing the work, right? So doing open houses, consuming a buttload of real estate content so you know how to talk the talk. Knowing what's going on currently in your market, studying the MLS, studying market reports, and then listening to all podcasts, ours and other ones, that they're so full of all this fantastic information from people that have been doing it for a really long time. And it's a great way to kind of get over that imposter syndrome and to know how to have those conversations.
But I think a key point to that is you can just consume a lot of content and feel like you're growing, and maybe you are learning extra knowledge. But I think there's also you have to go out and do the stuff and put it to practice. Because if you just listen to a whole lot, I mean, Ricky Caruth's got a lot of great stuff. Brian Casel's got Ryan Pineda. I mean, go watch all these guys, hours and hours of content. But if you don't actually go out and do the open house, go actually prospect, go circle prospect, go do your cold calls. You have to do it before it's really, going to generate anything for you. But we can almost fool ourselves.
Absolutely.
I've listened to hours and hours of podcasts, so I'm a better real estate agent.
Okay, but here's the real question. Why wouldn't you? If you listen to all that stuff, right, and you feel like you're growing, you're educating yourself, and you still don't go do it, what is the thing that's hindering you or holding you back? Fear of failure.
Yeah.
And so, for me, the biggest thing, Kelly and I
had to think about it because I was I don't know. I feel like I would just go start doing it. But I think you're right. Most people don't, or some people don't, I guess I should say.
A lot of people don't because of fear, right? And so fear of failure. What Kelly and I have been talking about, and just kind of some of the circles that we're in, we're saying these guys are going out and starting businesses just like a change of clothes. I mean, they're just putting on new business all the time, and they just don't care. They are chasing failure. And for me, and they're super successful. Do some of those businesses not work out? Absolutely. But the majority of them do because they've learned from their mistakes. We always say done is better than perfect. Yep. And so I think that a lot of times my biggest failure was the amount of time I wasted listening to stuff and not doing it. And then I was just like, screw it. I don't care if I fail or not. And I went out there and guess what? I found failure. But I also learned lessons on, okay, don't ever say that again. Only stick to the script, stick to this script, making my own scripts, and then finding out what works for me. Open houses, setting appointments, advocate appointments, things like that work for me. I like to be face to face. I like to be in person with people. Cold calling for me, not going to happen. Never going to work for me. Justin set 3 appointments last week cold calling.
Awesome.
So yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, I said that's awesome.
Oh, but you were going to say something.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, we talked about this at the prospecting panel, which was marketing versus prospecting and kind of the differences. So marketing is great, getting your name out there, making sure that people know. One of the mistakes we made, actually, when we first started our career, is we didn't know what to do for prospecting. So we did marketing. We bought an ad at Lifetime Fitness. And we're like, we're spending $500 a month. I don't even know how much it was, but we're going to get all this business. And we did it for 9 months, I think, and got zero from it. Now, what we did get business from is talking to people at the gym, and we got business from that. So I think a lot of times we just want to put our name out there, spend money, or just do social media, when really the way that you make money is by having conversations, real conversation, whether it's in person or over the phone. And so picking what it is that is going to be that thing where you have the most amount of conversations is key. For us, when we started, that was open houses. That's what we still do. And being consistent with that's really the way to win.
Well, conversations, so it's a very simple formula, right? Having those conversations leads to appointments that leads to clients. And so that brings up kind of a really good point that we were talking about earlier was social media. Does social media count for prospecting? If my definition of prospecting is having meaningful conversations that translate into getting their contact information to which I can follow up and set an appointment, that is social media, should that count as prospecting?
Yes and no. At the end of the day, it's more so it's brand awareness, right? It's the ability to establish credibility with people. I've been posting my entire career on social media, and I finally had a stranger reach out to me.
That's
the first time.
The
first time.
And it was on Instagram.
It was on Instagram. I'm talking almost 3 years of consistent posting, it seems, and it finally led to that. But on the flip side, what it also led to was almost 30 sales from people within my sphere of influence, people that already knew who I was, because I was able to stay top of mind and establish credibility and with them. But at the end of the day, it's not necessarily prospecting, because you're not going out there and creating. I can't post a video and know that I'm going to have conversations from it. Over time, there's the goal of having conversations started from that. But if all you do is social media for prospecting, you're never going to have a sustainable career, in my opinion.
Well, and then to be fair, we're also only talking about organically posting on our stuff. We're not talking about paid ads or funnels or anything like that. But I guess what we're trying to get at is there's a lot of people, and me, when I first started in real estate, I was like, man, I grew up here in Katy. I have a massive, sphere of influence here in Katy. Surely I'm going to post that I'm a real estate agent, and people are going to reach out and use me to help buy, sell, or rent. And that absolutely did not happen. Didn't happen at all. I don't know if anyone from a certain sphere of my life actually used me for about 2.5 years. And so that is I think a big pitfall that a lot of agents fall into, is that they feel like, oh, I'm just going to post, make a post in this model house, and people are going to, reach out to me as their realtor, right?
Why do people default to that?
Because it's easy.
It's easy. It alleviates the fear and the awkwardness of having to talk to a random stranger.
And risk rejection.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy to show a house. Everybody likes pretty houses. So it becomes a replacement for prospecting, because we, again, fool ourselves into thinking, if I make this video, that's the same thing as having a conversation, and it's not. And I mean, I have a very similar story. It was 52 weeks of posting videos on YouTube before I ever got a lead from it. Right? And for the first 52 weeks of video posting, each video got 10 views, 5 views, like nothing. And then in that second year, I had one video that I had made that ended up generating 7 closings.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't done the 52 weeks, I probably wouldn't have had the algorithm, and it wouldn't have gotten in front of those people, and I wouldn't have had those closings. So doing it, we're not saying not to do it.
Right.
It's just not a replacement for, like, don't not do open houses, not do circle prospecting, not do cold calling, not do networking, because you're going to just post some pictures on Instagram. Like, they're not the same thing, but you do them together, and if you do them consistently, then it eventually can become a lead source for you. But it's like one of the ones, it's a weird, it sort of is, sort of isn't. It kind of starts off as not really being one, but then it can become one.
It's a long-term game, so do you want to put all of your eggs in that one basket when you're first starting? So that was the question. What do we do when we first get started? Maybe not. Maybe that's something that you kind of do an hour or two a week, but the rest of your time is focused on actual prospecting and having those conversations.
Because the conversations that you have with real people generate something now. And that was like the conversation in the beginning. Like, when you're a new agent, you're like, okay, how do I get started? How do I get my first deal? The first thing you shouldn't do is just run to go post a picture on social media, because that probably won't generate it. You might get lucky, but it probably won't. Yeah. But going to do an open house will literally make you talk to a person who is raising their hand and saying, I want to do something. I am here looking at a house. I'm interested in this market. So then now I get to have a real conversation with a real human that might actually want to do something right now. You'll get likes and stuff because your friends and family will see your post and they're like, way to go, Cole. Crickets. Like, nothing happens after that.
Good job. Yeah.
No, way to go.
I think that, like Pat Hyben on Real Estate Rockstars, he it's a great podcast. I encourage everyone to subscribe to it. But he asked this question to a lot of his guests, a lot of top producer guests at the very end of the podcast. And he says something to the effect of, hey, regarding lead sources, I'm going to take you and maybe 2 or 3 other agents, and I'm going to put you on an island it's a habited island, but this island full of real estate. What you have 2 months or 3 months to get as many closings as you can on that island, and the winner of this gets like $5 million. Right? Like, what are you going to do? How are you going to start? Like, what, like, are you going to take vacation? Like, are you going to, like, when are your rest days? Like, what does your schedule look like? And what are you going to attack first? Right? For me, obviously, I'm with Nick. I think that I would go straight to open houses. However, the problem is that open houses are only 2 days of the week. You have five more days to fill that time with. What are you going to do? And whenever I ask most agents that, it's crickets. So I'm post on YouTube or post on Facebook. Okay, that is not prospecting. So, like what else are you going to fill your time with? If we're talking about new agent, right? Like, what are you going to do right off the bat? It is, how can I get in front of the most amount of people to have the most amount of conversations, so that I can fill my pipeline.
Yeah.
Right?
Jeb Blount, in his book Fanatical Prospecting, says that you should have 80% of your time filled with prospecting.
Yeah.
Like, how many people actually do that?
Right.
Not many.
No.
And the few that do are the ones that have these extreme results that we're like, man, I wish I could have 200 sales. Well, guess what? All they do is prospect, and they say no to everything else, and they don't go to other things, and they don't allow distractions, and so maybe that's not possible for you right now, or for somebody who's brand new. They feel like that's impossible, but if you're real with yourself, it's really not. Like, think about it. Okay, I want to make a video and post it on Facebook. That's 2 or 3 hours. Cool. What are you going to do with the rest of the There's a lot of hours that you can be doing something.
Right.
I found that in my first year, I would get to the end of the day and be like, man, I'm tired. I feel like I'm busy. I've been working all day, but I have nothing to show for it. And then to go back and look at it, like, what did I actually do for those 10 hours? Well, I was scrolling on Facebook. I was looking at stuff. I watched a YouTube video. I had lunch. I got started at 10 a.m. I did my walk. I went to the gym. Like, okay, well, that's 6 hours on stuff that has nothing to do with making me any money.
Yeah, you were busy. You just weren't productive.
Right.
Yeah.
Or they spend hours with making graphics or focusing on their business card. Like,
Sure.
let me get my website up before I can actually go out and prospect. No, like, get out there. Get your name out there. Don't spend all the time on the startup. Like, that's a waste of time.
Yes.
Or join a team that does it all for you.
Right.
Dollar productive activities versus non-dollar
There you
productive
go.
activities.
Right.
And so many people get stuck in that trap of doing non-dollar productive activities. Why? Because they don't like rejection and because it's easy.
Yeah.
Prospecting quite literally is getting comfortable with interrupting people.
Yeah.
You have to get comfortable with interrupting people. It's going to be 99 no's before you get to a yes. And as you get better over time, that ratio comes down a little bit, and you don't have to have 100 conversations to get a sale or 50 conversations to get a sale. But at the end of the day, it's kind of stepping outside of your comfort zone and also being really honest with yourself. We work in a sales and marketing job at the end of the day. And there's this example, right? Like, let's say you were a salaried employee working in a sales and marketing job. Your boss calls you into the office on Friday. Taylor, tell me about your week. What all have you done for the company? Well, I called 10 past clients, and I went to 2 happy hour networking events, and made a LinkedIn post. You'd probably maybe get one more week of that, and then you would be fired quick. You'd be out of a job. And while we can't necessarily get fired as real estate agents unless you do something horribly illegal and lose your license, the closest thing you can do to being fired is going several weeks, months without a paycheck. And if you aren't diligently prospecting, you're going to go months, weeks, however long without a paycheck.
Yeah, no, which is the pro and the con to real estate sales, right? Yeah. So it's way more of a pro, in my opinion, than it is a con. But at the same time, like, let's just say 40 deals, right? So y'all are doing 40 deals in a year. Y'all are almost getting paid every week. Right, like so you can, I did a 2019, 2020. I did 50 deals that year. So I was literally paid like every single week of the year, which is great. And in real estate, if you do 100 deals, you can get paid twice a week. But if you're not doing the work, if you're not prospecting, then the flip side is you're not getting paid at all. Like, there's no guaranteed paycheck, if this is your full-time deal.
And then the thing is, too, if you get stuck in that rut and you're not prospecting, let's just say you didn't prospect at all the entire month of September. You're not even feeling that right now. You're not going to feel it until December or January. Like, we're in the business of delayed gratification, and that's a thing for real estate agents as well, especially when you're just starting off, is you need to understand that the work you do today, you're not going to see a return on it for several months, most likely.
Yeah.
You may get the occasional walk into your open house ready to put in an offer right now. They just didn't have the right agent. But generally speaking, the people that you're meeting at an open house, the ones that are serious and ready to put in an offer are likely already working with somebody. And unless you're able to deliver enough value and convert them into your own client, chances are the ones that you will be able to convert are the ones that are starting to casually look because they're going to be ready later this year, early next year.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're working 30, 60, 90 days in advance.
Yep.
That's the hardest thing when you get started is you're like, all right, I need to get paid because I'm broke now. And then your first paycheck, even if you had somebody day one, is still a month away.
Yeah.
If it goes through, which more than likely it won't. And it'll fall through and it'll terminate.
Oh my gosh.
For your first one, yeah, that's absolutely right.
I mean, that was one of your first ones, like, fell through, right? Like
My first two fell through,
So you're like, oh my gosh, it actually happened, and then it doesn't actually go through, and you still don't have any money. And now you're 3 months in, and you're depressed, and you want to quit.
And then you're dealing with commission breath, and it makes it that much harder to convert a client.
So I think the encouragement to an agent when an agent says, what do I do today? How can I ramp up my business? I think we've listed out some key prospecting things like get open houses, get in front of people, have real conversations with real humans, share what you're doing, share the open house on social media, post about it ahead of time, make a video when you're there and do a home tour. Do that, leverage social media to build that following and let people know what you're doing. But start there, do open houses. Make circle prospecting flyers about houses that just got listed. Do what Taylor did and take 5 of my transactions because he went out and he did the work. I'm mad still, but he did it. And so that's 5 transactions there just by going and door knocking, right? Having conversations again with real people. And then I think the next thing I would say is get a team. Everybody gets their license, and then the first thing they do is they get swarmed by brokers who are like, hey, come join our brokerage, Come
pay me a monthly fee, and I'm not going to do anything for you, but once you get there, we'll make you feel good and maybe give you a shared space of an office. Make sure you pay your monthly fee, or I'll come after you.
Yeah,
that is, and I think that was one of our talking points was team versus brokerage. But I do want to say this, we said this at the prospecting panel, that there is, and y'all can speak to it because y'all have your own teams, but I don't think that there are many problems, if any at all, in real estate, in your real estate business, that can't be answered or fixed by more prospecting. Like there just really isn't. If you're like, well, my clients are really difficult. Well, you have to deal with those clients because you have a very small pipeline. If you had a massive pipeline, you could fire those clients and deal with everyone else that you have. There's really very few things that can't be answered by just having more prospecting in the mix.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what Jeb Blount says in Fanatical Prospecting. And that's the book that we're both going through with our team. So that's why it's fresh on our mind. But, he talks about how once you get that, let's say you do close one deal and you had 9 other people in the pipeline, the likelihood that the other 9 won't work out goes up. It's a weird statistical anomaly. So you want to always be refilling the pipeline and replacing the leads that you have. Not that you want them to not go through, but you're betting on the fact that they won't all work out. Right. So if you're always trying to just add more to what you already have, then when they do, it hurts a lot less because it's not the only thing you're working with. It's 1 of 10 or 1 of 20, and that feels way better because I've had that happen where
we all have
2-3 deals in a row will flatline, and I'm like, man, how would I?
I lost $2.3 million in transactions in the same day.
Yeah.
That was over $50,000 in commissions.
And it hurts, right? It hurts.
Yeah.
But then when you already have other stuff under contract, you're like, all right, let me focus on these people. Let me get some new ones, right?
One of the Serhant books, Ryan Serhant, I can't remember which one it is, but he's talking about juggling balls. You have all these balls in the air, and if you only have 2 balls that you're juggling and one of them drops, it really sucks.
You're not juggling anymore.
Right? Yeah, no, you're just walking around with one, and you're just hoping, praying to God that nothing happens. But if you're juggling 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 balls all at one time, if you drop 1 or 2 of them, it's fine. You go and you pick it back up and you keep going.
Yeah, right. And guess what? When you close, that means a ball has dropped. You're no longer juggling that ball. So when that property closes, it's on to the next. You have to have something behind it, right, coming in.
And that's what we encounter all the time is agents will nurse all that they have in escrow, and they'll get their 3 closed, and it's like, man, what a great day. I just got 3 closings. I have nothing in my pipeline for the next 3 months. Like nobody
is insane if they're working on a team like any of our teams where a lot of that stuff is like the nursing and escrow is taken care of for them, the resources, everything else. And I do want to kind of take it back to the team versus brokerage kind of thing, but I think a lot of people are afraid to talk about numbers and money and stuff like that, which you really shouldn't, especially on a podcast like this. But I want to go all the way back to when Kelly and I was full-time, Kelly was part-time, and Kelly, our deal was, okay, Kelly will quit whenever I can make our combined income for the whole year, and that was our deal. Well, I made that in the first 6 months, right, of whatever that year was, and Kelly was like, I can't do it.
It may not be consistent. Like it may just been like a coincidence.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the first and second quarter, and I think it was like 120,000, something like that. What was that number? And then come the third quarter, I lined up enough closings to do that same number just in the third quarter. And then I was like, Kelly, here it is. Here's the number. This is my closings. We'll make about $120,000 in the third quarter alone. You need to quit your job now. And she was like, okay, fine, but I still want maybe something a little bit stable. So it was very difficult. But the thing was, and that was when we were on a team. We were on another team, and we were doing those numbers. And it was because I looked at my full-time job not as writing contracts, putting up listings, not as doing anything else other than going out and prospecting every single day.
Yeah. So what would we say to an agent who's, they're getting their license and they're considering, do I do this team thing? Like, they're just going to take some of my commission. I don't want to just be a buyer's agent that's, representing so-and-so, John and Susie team. Like, what are the differences that people can pick from, and why would they go for one versus another?
Well, I think there's one perspective, like whatever the split is, right? If it's 40, 50, 60%, 50% of a $10,000 commission check is a lot bigger than 100% of nothing. Yeah. And that's one thing too. At the end of the day, so many people will go try to do it on their own. I mean, how many agents have joined the Bridge Group, any one of the three teams over the last several years, that said, you know what, I'd love to, but I don't like the splits. Let me go join this brokerage here. And how many of them come back and say, you just had one.
Yeah.
The newest Bridge Group agent said, no thanks, I don't want to deal with the splits. And I think it was 2 months later, and now here they are, a member of the Bridge Group.
Well, and the greatest thing about them is that we were at brunch the other day, and I said, I said, man, I wish you would have joined earlier. And she was like, I think it was better that I didn't, because now I got to see, like the brokerage model, which is that the broker makes money off of an agent paying their desk fee every month, and it's a volume play as far as having as many agents as they can paying. They don't they don't care if they actually produce, because they're still getting that fee, right? That monthly fee. The thing is, for us, I don't get any of our EXP monthly fee. What I get is based off of production. So it is in everyone here, it is our greatest interest that our agents are absolutely kicking ass, because if they don't, then the whole company doesn't win.
Right.
And so I think that is, and so she was like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't come straight, from real estate school to the Bridge Group, because now I appreciate everything that y'all give us a whole lot more. Like all the resources, I know that I'm going to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah. So, you've got this broker model, which I think most people are familiar with. They at least know the names, right?
Yeah.
And then you can be an individual agent, or you can be on a team. And even from the team perspective, there's kind of two different ways that people do it. Yeah. There's like the people that run the team are at the top of the pyramid, and everybody else is a support for them and their business. And then you have what we did, which is we tried to flip it upside down and say, okay, it's very agent-centric, so we're here as a support to them. We're trying to take care of all the administrative things and all the stuff that they would normally have to go pay somebody or find somebody to hire to do it. We'll do all that. We just want you to go out and meet and talk to people. So I feel like our philosophy, our way of doing it, not every team out there is like that. So, I mean, the encouragement to anybody out there looking is you got to interview multiple teams. Just because somebody pitches that they have a great team, don't assume that it is. Talk to people on the team and find out what they think about it. How long have they been on the team?
That's the best interview is don't interview necessarily just the team lead or the broker. Interview someone that works within that office or in that team and says, hey, like, do you like is it everything they say it is? And they'll be the quickest to tell you, like, yeah, it is, or no, it's not.
Yeah.
Just like go to it, sit in on a team meeting, and if they won't let you sit in on a team meeting, well, chances are they're trying to hide something as well.
That's actually the first thing I usually offer when I meet somebody is I'm like, come visit a team meeting, because I think that will tell you almost everything that you need to know about whether this is the right place for you, because you'll get to see the culture, the people, the way we interact, what we're learning, what we go over. And for most people, they'll literally have never heard any of the, we're going through a book and they don't even read. I'm like, well, now you're going to become a reader because you're going to read 12 books a year just by being on the team. And then we're going to be learning all this practical stuff and talking through all these, like, exactly what you need to do and troubleshooting on transactions and how to prospect and, what happened on so-and-so's deal. And that's valuable information that you just can't, even if you watch a lot of people on your own and you just go consume a lot of YouTube, even there, it's still, you're not in the thick of it. You're not hearing a real person's, I went through this and this transaction is happening right now and this is how we're troubleshooting it live. So I think there's still so much benefit from, look, even if there is a split, the amount of knowledge that you gain, the amount of training that you get, we as sales agents are paid based on results, not based on time.
Right.
So if you want to spend a lot of time trying to figure it out, do that, but you're going to make the same amount or less. Or you could shortcut all of that and shorten the amount of time it takes to get to your first deal. And all that matters is the result of you got the closing. So if you can do that closing in 90% less time, then you can do a lot more of the closings in the same amount of time. And now the split that you had that you cared so much about doesn't matter as much because you're closing so much.
And I think a large part that we were talking about this the other day, I feel like we don't broadcast this enough. And I don't know if other teams do it, but I know that for us, the people in this room are closers. We're very good at closing. And so, not one of our agents go on a listing appointment on their own by themselves. We don't just say, like, here's a listing presentation, good luck. Why? Because there's a lot of other sharks out there that will probably beat them on their first listing appointment, second or fifth or 30th. For us, we already know it. We know how to handle objections. So us going with our client or our agents, on their buyer appointments, on their listing appointments, and helping them close and convert, usually they probably wouldn't get that conversion their first 1 through 30 appointments, but they are going to get it because they have a closer there with them. So we are like injecting steroids into their business by aiding them to convert and close a lot faster than they otherwise would.
And
legal steroids, yeah.
And being able to leverage the team's experience, I think, is huge. Like being able to say, we closed this many deals last week. We closed, the team meeting. Oh yeah, one of my agents on my team, they just dealt with this. So you have the knowledge. You can use other people's words, literally their closings, and that gives you that confidence. I mean, I know we were talking about one of the things that you need to do when you first get started, or you can do as a new agent. I recommend networking. That was one of the first things I did. That was actually my first closing that I got once I became full-time. I joined a junior women's club, and my first closing was somebody from that junior women's club, and now she's actually reaching back out to me 5 years later, wanting to sell the house that I just sold her, that I sold her back 5 years ago. But networking in and of itself, like most people are like, oh, let me go to a happy hour.
With other agents.
Yeah.
With other agents, yeah.
Well, no, even if it's people, you're just like, okay, like, what do I say? If you're a new agent, like, how do you actually network? Well, being able to use the bridge groups or the team that you're a part of, all of their experience and their knowledge, and making it your own, that gives you that credibility as well, so that people actually want to use you.
Yeah, I had an agent ask me that. We were going over scripting, and they're like, well, what if I'm at an open house and somebody says, how many deals have you closed? And so my answer to them was, well, you haven't closed any. But what you can tell them is, well, me and my team at the Bridge Group have sold over 710 transactions in the last 4 years. We're actually in the top 50 out of all Houston real estate agents. We're pretty good at what we do. Like, if you say that, nobody's going to be like, well, how many of the 710 were yours? You say it with such confidence that they're like, wow, holy crap, you guys must be really good. And then you can shift the conversation however you want and take it in the direction and sort of control the whole narrative. And it starts with, you can leverage something that's not even your number. I didn't have any closings in my first year. And for the first 3 months, I couldn't rely on my own expertise and my own skills or knowledge or numbers, but I could say, how many of the team is closed. I could say where we rank. I could even give a third-party story of like, well, we had a client that did this, and it wasn't my client. It was Cole's client. They don't know that it wasn't mine, right? But the knowledge that I have about that transaction and about what occurred and how we fixed it, to them is still value, because they're like, okay, they know what they're doing and they know how to handle a difficult situation.
The team's wins are your wins. The team's lessons are your lessons that you can learn from and you don't have to repeat.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of, like, for instance, what Taylor said about prospecting, about rejection, about it's sales, I don't think enough realtors know what they're getting into. I mean, we hear people all the time, oh, I'm getting my real estate license. Oh, that's awesome. What makes you want to get your real estate? Oh, it just seems like really fun. I love looking at houses. And I want looking at houses. And I want a flexible schedule. Yeah. Those are like the top reasons that people want to, and they don't know. None of them are true. None of them are true.
Those are literally all the reasons they will fail.
Yeah. Exactly. I can only look at so many Perry, Highland, Coventry homes, right? Until
before it's super boring.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I've seen all of them, or I've seen all 4 or whatever. But at the end of the day, that other one, like, I want a flexible schedule. Yeah. Like look at my calendar. Look at Nick's calendar. Look at anyone's calendar. It is not flexible at all.
That's the worst reason to get into real estate. Until you start getting enough deals under your belt, and then you can start taking vacations. Then you can start working at 10 instead of 8 a.m. So there is a delayed gratification to real estate, as Taylor was talking about too. So I think that if any agent could watch this video before they get their license, so they know what to expect, I think it would be super. I would have loved that.
I think it's just like we're salespeople, but we're really not selling the houses at the end of the day. You're selling yourself. You're selling who you are as a person and the skills that you can.
Also in a legal way, yes.
Yeah, selling yourself in a. Thank you, Nick. We're not.
I don't know about some agents. Honestly, honest to God, I don't know about some agents.
We're selling our services. We're selling who.
Oh my goodness!
Come on, Taylor.
Taylor.
This is a family podcast.
I'm just gonna stop. You know what I mean.
Cool.
Selling yourself. There we go.
God.
So obviously we created this podcast to help agents who are maybe struggling, or maybe they're thinking about getting their license and they're just doing some research. And so again, hopefully you find value in us having these conversations, and we're trying to be as open and as honest as we can. And we'd love any comments that you have. If you have questions about what it looks like to get into real estate and where to get started and what you should be asking questions wise and who you should interview with, we're happy to have those conversations with you, because I think at the end of the day for us, and I think the reason why we all coach agents is if we can get more agents to not be a part of the statistic of quitting, if we can lower the 86% failure rate at any number, and if we can have more agents out there that are actually serving people at a high level, then we've done our job. Like that's really what it is. And we want to see people succeed and have the financial freedom that we know is possible, that we've been able to see in our own lives. So please don't hesitate to leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If there's any topics you want us to cover, then we're happy to see, if we can bring additional value and hopefully help you grow your own business. So thanks once again, everybody. And thank you guys for watching. And we will see you on the next Behind the Scenes podcast.